Hey, welcome back to another edition of Captain Aaron's Scrap Metal. Today, we have this, and even this. A wire spider. You can see what we need out of this. That's that nice, fat, juicy copper wire right there. So what we're gonna do is get all this crap out of the way, like so, and we'll deal with that later. But we will first deal with getting it out of this box. And I don't think that's gonna be too much of a problem, considering that this is copper, and I really, really want this. So, with that in mind, this should not be a problem at all. Oh, these are coming out already. Well, that's just great. Let's get started. We got the rusty trusty flatheads. You know, flathead screws. Oh yeah, listen to that, eh? Yeah! That's the sound of freedom right there. I used to be annoyed by those jake brake sounds, but now it's like, go, you go. I get it. So we'll just toss those aside. Who knows anything about these circuit breakers? Looks like there's a little brass and stuff perhaps inside there. Maybe we'll open one up and find out later. Maybe not. Let's get the rest of these screws. Bam! Yeah. Bam! These ones here, they pinch them copper ones into place. More like set screws, I guess. Let's get them off. All right, here's some more up here. And well, we got these funky locking mechanisms on there. What do they? Keep the wire attached to the box, I presume. Let's just, oops. Let's just make short work of those and get rid of them entirely. I hope our camera angle is good. Yeah, I was gonna do some tire rims today. A couple of those guys, I got all prepped and ready to go. And then I went to change out the wire brush on my grinder to the diamond edged or whatever cutting wheel that I'd bought and waited for in the snail mail. And I broke the lock pin that jams it in place so you can undo the blade that's on it. And I didn't think I could probably stick a nail in there or whatever, but I didn't think of that, and I ended up cutting the cord off. Here, I'll show you. Yeah, this sucker right here, I busted the pin off. I could have jammed a nail, I guess, but this was a $50 grinder. First thing that happened was the handle broke and it almost bit me. So I'm gonna get the motor out of that and scrap that. There's a piece of really nice aluminum right here, eh? Yeah! Eh? Piece of real nice aluminum there, eh? You're from Canada, eh? What's going on, eh? What's happening, eh? What are we doing here? Wow, look at this stuff. This stuff is gargantuan. This is awesome. Definitely #1 wire right there. This is the main feed, I'm presuming. Look at those suckers. Yeah! These are nice. And there's 2 ground wires in here with it. Plus a black, plus a red and a white. Black up here is hot. Red, I believe, is secondary for switching or whatever. I don't know. I'm not an electrician. I've been an electrician's assistant, but not an electrician. This is the negative or return or neutral wire, whatever you want to call it. And the bare is the ground.
How you doing?
Hey, man.
Want to trade?
Maybe for a day. Trazies. Okay, we got one of the 4 legs off. Do spiders have 4 legs? No, they have 8 legs. But here's something I bet you didn't know. Spiders have 4 feet. Yeah, no, I'm not kidding. I am not kidding. But all spiders have 8 legs, Captain Aaron. Yes, all spiders have 8 legs, but all spiders also have 4 feet. Now there's 4 feet on the 4 back legs, and there's 4 hands on the 4 front legs. Where do I get that from? I get that from the Bible. That's the scriptural way of classifying things. Because there's instructions for times of famine in there. And I mean, Klaus Schwab, New World Order, they're talking about making us eat bugs and stuff. I'm not talking about that. I'm not doing that. There's instructions on which bugs are better for you than others in scripture, and that's supposed to be for in times of starvation. So I think it can be safely presumed that the WEF, Klaus Schwab, Yuval Harari, Davos Group, Bilderberg, and all those types are wanting to crumble our nations and put us into a famine state. What am I doing? I'm unplugged. How am I unplugged? There we go. I wasn't unplugged. But anyways, these scriptures say that any bugs with 4 feet aren't good to eat. They're not good for you. Insects, bugs with 2 feet are okay. Now there's a gluten type ingredient inside the exoskeletons of lots of insects, and I still can't remember the name. I meant to look it up. It has a C in there somewhere. It's like gluten, but it's really, really toxic. It's more hardcore than gluten. It sticks to you and does all sorts of building up and bioaccumulation and junk. So I am going to start on these sockets. Generally a flathead's a good choice for taking this stuff apart. Because, I mean, you can see that there's a Robertson bit in there. That's the square ones, right? And if you end up using Robertsons, there's 2 different kinds or sizes of Robertson screw, so that might not be your best bet unless you want to keep on changing your bits all the time. It's best to just go with flathead for this stuff. Because no matter what the type of socket inside here is, see, it's also Robertson, but it's also flathead. That's a #1 Robertson. That's the smallest of 3, I believe. Or is it the other way around? Is #1 the largest, and #2 is middle, #3 is smallest? In any case, I think these screws are brass, so we'll be sticking these aside for sure. I've decided to just start talking more during these videos, because it turns out a few of you actually responded to some of the off-the-cuff stuff I like to say sometimes, like the apricot seeds. Thanks for them comments on the apricot seeds. I mean, not absolutely everybody knows that information, or how to find it even. And see, down in there you got a Phillips #2, a medium, or sorry, Robertson. So right now you'd have to change your bit to get at that, but it's also the flathead variety. We got a Winston the Crow is up there somewhere. You can hear him squawking off in the background. Hey, Winston. So let's get this done. This attaches the ground wire to the electrical box. And these 2 here hold down those pinchy units, those guys, which grabs the cable and doesn't let it get yoinked on like I was just able to do. So now, oh, what's going on here? Besides weird stuff that never cooperates with me. Oh yeah, you got these hooks and junk in the end of it. Come on now. You know what's good for you. There we go. We got some wire cleaned off of here. We got some metal junk. You know, this can be reused. There's nothing wrong with this. In fact, I'm gonna keep that and all its components because this is still good. These cost a couple of bucks down at the Hardmore store. So I'm just gonna put this aside and these screws and whatever. I'm gonna keep these brass ones for shizzle, my nizzle. And not sure what to do with these. Any comments? Comments down below. What should I do with these? I see some brass in there, if that's brass. Once again, thanks for your comments and for liking and subscribing to the channel. Press the bell notification. Ding, 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 ding. Press the bell, press the bell, press the bell. Because then, and only then, will you be notified right away of new videos that I sporadically and unpredictably post here on the YouTube. So here's another one. Let's get at these. We'll get the ground wire off. We'll get the neutral off. Oh, come on, come on. I need one of those cordless drills. I'm getting one of those cordless drills that go in and they stop as soon as you let off the trigger. Otherwise, you can really drive a screw into some plywood, if you know what I mean, with an actual drill that plugs into the wall. I've smoked on this already when I was doing wire, that big thick stuff. It started smoking. It was like, no, I wrecked it, but it seems all right to me. Still works just fine. So I'm just gonna keep doing this until the battery runs out, I think. And then I will convert it down to a lower bit rate because we have such a crappy internet connection up here. You get this, 120 kilobytes per second upload speed. That means for me to upload a gigabyte, it's going to take like an hour to upload 1 gigabyte. And since I'm doing 4K videos now, that's getting really difficult because the last one I put up was a half-hour video in 4K, and it took 4.5 hours to upload. And we live in the countryside, but there is a fiber optics line that TELUS put in a long time ago that goes right through our town, and there's no junctions on it for us to have access to it, but it goes elsewhere. It just doesn't stop here. Nope, not for us. Not for people in Cache Creek, commonly known as Cache Creekian 5, on the Weed Trek, which I spent a few years playing Captain Aaron. If you want, you can check that out, weedtrek.ca. If you like weed, that is. Me, I'm getting out of the weed thing. It's not gonna rule my life, and I'm not going to be put under something that I know I can do better than. So this is why I'm doing this. I got something else to do. So yeah, we're getting some little chunks out of here. Definitely number 1, pretty sure. Size of a pencil lead, I believe. So we're putting them little snibs up in there. We got that unpeeled from the tangle. They had no boxes or anything associated or attached to them, but we're left with these 2 here. So again, let's pull out. Let's get rid of these guys. The flathead, starting with the front plate. Yeah, the flathead only. So if you had your number 1 or number 2 Robertson in your screwdriver, you'd have to change bits again, and this is not any good to anybody. And again, to the number 1 Robertsons or the flathead. These might be brass. I'll have to check these after. I believe I've mentioned that already. These get jammed up in the holes if I don't straighten them out, apparently. So I will straighten these out so they slip out nicely. When it is time for them to become part of my copper pile. These, I don't know what they are. Maybe they're stainless. They're not rusty. This was an outside shed this stuff come out of. Here's a picture of it right here. And one of my friends brought over this thing, the wire spider. So here it is. This is what you do with the electrical junk you find when people whip their shed down. Shop, I guess, if it's got electricity, hey? Oops. And we got that ground wire. That's also a hex head. Looks like a, I don't know, 1/4 inch or 5/16 maybe. I don't know. So yeah, straighten it up. Now there's the ground screws and the clamp screws. Number 2 Robertson, or again flathead. So I prefer flathead for doing electrical junk. Except if it's tightening the stuff up, I actually do prefer using the correct Robertson, because then you can adjust the right torque to it that you're comfortable with. And you do want to know that your electrical connections and clamps are secure to your standards. And you should probably have really good standards when doing any sort of electrical work. And if you don't know what you're doing, obviously do not try any of that stuff at home. But this stuff's fine. I mean, we're dealing with wires that obviously aren't connected. Do not try this at home to an electrical box that's still in your wall, because odds are, if you've got the light on and you're looking at this box, the power to that light is probably coming out of that box. And you don't want that. Oh, I've still got the 2 ground connectors in there to peel off before anything will move out of here. There are they. Now, bam, there we go. And let's pick that stuff up, because we don't want holes in tires. We want holes in those tires. We don't want holes in the other tires. So we will keep these aside. Somebody down the way does want the screws I've been saving, and I saved the screws because, I mean, pennies add up to dollars, right? And now we've got these 2 last wires here, except for this clamp that's designed somehow to hold the cable housing into the box, as if those clamp down thingies inside the box weren't enough. I guess this is just an added safety measure. Again, I'm not sure. I'm not an electrician. Let's get this off of here and put it with the others. And now we have another wire to clean. And one more box. We have one more box. This is a nice box. Look at this one. It's a big, huge industrial looking thing with lots of pushy tabs and stuff and things on there. And it comes up the back, so I'm not sure what this one's all about. And it doesn't have a built-in bend, like it's been up against a wall or whatever for 20 years or whatever. So I don't know. Let's see what the heck though. See what the heck. So yeah, as I was saying earlier, spiders have 4 feet. And I can accept that. That's a very fair categorization of their appendages. Because if you think about it, the feet face backwards. And the hands face forwards. That's how you can tell the difference. And in the case of, say, a grasshopper or cricket, which unfortunately the matter is being pushed by the World Economic Forum, etc., etc. In the case of crickets, look at what they have. They have 6 legs, but they have 4 hands and 2 feet. So that means they are not as bad for you. I mean, they're not the best for people. You know, look into that toxin that I was talking about. It's in their exoskeleton. I just can't think of the name right now. That's up to you. Folks and peoples and viewers at home, that is your challenge. To find out that, no, Crazy Captain Aaron isn't a conspiracy theorist, as the CIA likes to label those who question the official narratives of things. But in fact, somewhat knows what he's talking about to some degree. It's worth looking into. That's all I tell people, is it's worth looking into. Because when they do, they find what everybody finds that actually looks into it with a reasonable, suspicious mind. And they discover the truth. And that truth is pretty nasty, that evil is a tangible entity and has an army and has, since the beginning, had dominion over this entire planet and the state of affairs for all of humanity, for all of humanity, because in the beginning, dominion was handed over to them, and we've continued to live under that, under the consequences of doing that. There we go. And this wire is done. So I'm running out of light. It's gonna be dark here in like half an hour. I was gonna go into getting the casing off and running this through the Stripmeister, but that'll be for next time. So I'll just put the stuff away. Yeah, do look into some of these things. If you want to really know what's going on around you, just look into it. Think outside the box. Look in the look in the places the government doesn't want you to, in other words. And that ain't on Facebook. You can find some of it on YouTube, but be careful of them recommended columns. So thanks once again for watching your favorite show, Captain Aaron Scrap Metal, and next video we might get into the microwaves. Yeah, I tried to fix my grinder today and put another blade on it and just wrecked it, so I don't know what I'll be doing, but thanks for joining me on this one, and we will see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell. Ding, 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 ding.